Hi, beauties. Welcome back to She Bloom podcast. I'm your host, Liana. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how a balanced nutrition and a sustainable lifestyle can help you nourish your body, regulate your hormones, and manage your PCOS symptoms while glowing from the inside out. So, welcome, Dr. Tonya. Thank you for coming on to my podcast. Dr. Tonya is not just a radiologist, she's a wellness and a lifestyle coach, and she's well diverse in sports medicine as well.
Yes, thank you so much, Liana, for having me. I'm very excited for you, what you're putting, this platform that you're putting out there. I think this is really needed for people to have these kind of discussions. So thank you for considering me and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yes, no, thank you so much. Dr. Tanya, we all want that glow, right? So, what are some foods that you would recommend that can help maintain our hormones, especially for the girls that have PCOS symptoms?
Right. So I'm just going to simplify it a little bit. When we talk about hormones, we can talk about hormones during if you have your menses, meaning during your menstrual period time, or there are people who become perimenopausal in their late 30s and then menopausal.
Yeah.
So balancing your hormones is different for each stage of life. And it's also different for men as well, right? Men compared to women. But for women who are going through the menstrual cycles, balancing your hormones is extremely important, right? Not only is it important, but there are ways to do it very naturally. Sometimes medication is not necessary, but there are ways that we ourselves can make decisions to naturally to provide that nutrition for ourselves. So when I start with if I give you some general advice, because obviously if everybody would be different, what we want to focus on would be things like cruciferous vegetables, which are things. So when you think of groups of foods, you always want to think of, they're all similar. So cruciferous vegetables are all slightly bitter, things like arugula, things like kale. So those are the vegetables that provide balance for estrogen, right? Especially excess estrogen, it sort of helps the breakdown of estrogen so that you don't have that hormonal imbalance where you have extra estrogen going around the system, right? So what I usually recommend for people is just before your period, a few days, try to have a lot of green cruciferous vegetables. Add spinach, add kale, add broccoli. And if you don't like the bitter taste, just mix it into some of your foods. Some other things that are really important would be your foods high in magnesium. That helps you also metabolize your hormones and helps balance and produce hormones as well. So that would be things like spinach. Spinach is very high in magnesium. It's a great source of magnesium. So I actually tend to do spinach during that time of the month, right? And spinach also provides a high amount of iron. So for people who lose a lot of blood, you're also going to get, now you also mentioned PCOS. These foods are also great for PCOS, but what is also something that's very important to add in is your fatty acids, your omega-3. So that's something like salmon. So a lot of fishes are high in it, but salmon is the highest, right? So I tend to cook salmon up in saltfish, do a little sauteed salmon like that. That to me is tasty with some onions, but some people love it. And it's also expensive, especially here in Trinidad where we don't lots of nuts because you don't want to take in refined carbohydrates to allow that proper processing of your hormones. And of course, apart from foods, you want to think of keeping yourself mobile. The more you increase your metabolism, the more you increase your movement, is the more you're going to increase your metabolism. You want to keep your metabolism going. So for hormonal health, think about adding the right foods, think about moving your body in different ways, and also think about, there's also the mental and the spiritual side of it, right? Even though our hormones are raging and they have their own cycle, you have your brain influencing your adrenal glands, influencing your ovaries. You also have to teach yourself how to control your hormones and how to your hormonal cycle.
Yes, it's so, no, I love that you said that having your green smoothies, implementing some fish, some little bit here and there. I think as a person that is trying to transition to a more healthier diet, to take it easy on yourself, implement it little bit by little bit, and also so try pineapples, a good sweetener. So that is really good as well. So I love.
Correct, exactly. As you said, if you add in sweeteners, you want to try things like pineapple. Pineapple is great. And then there's bananas.
And honey.
So bananas are high in magnesium and honey.
Yes.
I also try maple syrup, which I think is a great addition. Pineapple is a natural source of bromelain, which is also an anti-inflammatory. So if you find you have a flu coming on, you find that you have having some, maybe you're exercising a lot and you're having muscle fatigue, add the pineapple. If you're
Okay.
having trouble sleeping, add the banana because it has magnesium. It helps with sleeping. So there
Okay.
are different things that you could do to add to your smoothie, to even add, as you said, make
Yeah.
it a little bit more. We love flavor, we love taste, and we don't want to eat anything that's not tasting good, right?
I
But
know.
healthy does not mean that it tastes.
I agree as well.
Yeah.
Some people equate health to no, it could be really great. It could taste really well. So
And
gut health is also equivalent to your hormonal health. Is that true? And how it plays a part of it? Okay, so you've been a dancer and an athlete. Spill the tea. Tell us, like, what are your favorite workouts and what makes you feel good and balanced?
That's a great question. I suppose my entire life I've been very active. So from the age of 3, I've always been doing something, whether it's dance or some sports. At the time, I was swimming and tennis. So for me now, I cannot survive without having like activity be the foundation of my life, right? And a lot of people ask me, so how do you get time? Like, or they say, I don't have the time to do this, you know? For me, working out and exercising is a non-negotiable. It doesn't mean that I have to go and sprint up Chancellor or go on. I don't need to do anything excessive. I just need to do what is just what will make my adrenaline flow, what will keep my metabolism going. How do I do it? I just knew that it's non-negotiable. My body does not operate without having some time of movement. And sometimes it just takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do a 5-minute flow in my bedroom. Sometimes I'll do a 10-minute class on YouTube from like Netflix has 10-minute classes. Sometimes
Oh,
I'll take a walk around. They have 10-minute workouts, HIIT
I like
workouts,
that.
yoga. Or you could just walk around the perimeter of your yard. And then as you get more used to it, you learn to schedule in your workouts. You learn to pack your bag in the morning. You learn to get to where you do. And you start to create social groups out of it as well.
Yes,
So
I love that.
checking up, are you coming in today? Where are we going? What time are we going? And it just becomes more and more fun. And balancing it just becomes so much easier. And I know a lot of people will say, oh gosh, well, you could say that obviously, but it's not easy for me because it's not something I enjoy doing.
Exactly.
Everybody has their own journey, and everybody's journey depends on what their body type is, what
Yeah.
they love to do, what they like to do, and you will find what you love to do. You'll find it.
Exactly. I love that you touched on community. Like I love group workouts. I feel like I have accountability partners, and that's so important with your fitness journey, having accountability partners. Because sometimes you don't feel the motivation to go out and do it yourself, but once you know your girlfriend is going to be at Pilates or yoga, you're like, okay, I gotta meet her up. We're gonna look cute together. And I think having those little things, like having a cute outfit laid out before in the morning, is so important. So it motivates you to go.
It's like cute outfit, like people say, that's shallow, but that gives you so much like motivation. Like you put out your little outfit in your favorite color and you walk in like looking good. Like
Yeah.
it really does wonders.
No,
Yeah.
also too, like growing up in the Caribbean, we all share that experience. I feel like we are so like naturally fit and we're so naturally like yes, growing up in the Caribbean, it is so like our physical fitness and everything is so immersed into our culture, like running and our sports, marching, netball, tennis, everything. So I understand like being a part of gymnastic, tennis, my mom involves us in everything. So growing up, I think that's why it's so easier. That is why it's so easy for us as adults to implement physical fitness into our life. Because as young age, you started off and you had this routine. So not as adult, you're like, you feel weird not being active. Yes, I totally get it.
So that point you said about what you do from childhood
Yes.
is so important. So even though you said that, childhood obesity in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean actually is higher than most third world countries.
Wow.
And so even though we do have that culture of movement, something is missing.
Yeah.
And parents are not implementing enough about exercise and about healthy eating.
Okay.
And you hear a lot of talk about, don't eat too many sweets, don't do this, don't do that. And people don't realize the long-term impact it can have
Mm.
on their children. So
And your mental health. Okay.
correct. So if you take away one thing, is that from a young age, you want to be able to be active.
Yes.
There are many social circles in the Caribbean that are active, but it needs to be a little bit more widespread where people do more, get out more, encourage their children to eat better and be better. So
Yes. Okay. And for those girlies that are not into really like physical fitness, like the physical junkies, what is one activity that they can like implement into their daily routine, you think?
So I think it depends on the person, but I'd say my favorite is Pilates. I think Pilates is a type of exercise that
Please.
is a form of exercise that stabilizes your core, right? Low impact.
Yeah.
Your core is the most important thing in terms of movement, right? Once your core is strong and steady, it also takes weight off your joints, off your knees, off your ankles. And then it also helps you to burn fat faster.
Yeah.
As you said, Pilates is low impact. Low impact exercises on heavy joints. You don't want too much of that if you're not somebody who loves exercising. But it's low impact while still providing impact. So some of the Pilates machines have things like jump boards,
Right.
where you're still jumping, but you're jumping on your back. So you're not providing a lot of stress on those knees and ankles.
Mhm.
And then there's mat Pilates, there's reformer Pilates, there are different types of equipment, the chair. So for me, I'd say find a nice Pilates studio that you like, especially for women. I mean, men too, but you know how to.
Getting into it. Listen, I be seeing very strong men with the muscle doing Pilates. Like, okay, I think they're there for something else, but
But
go get your fitness.
no,
Yes.
I think men, it's important for them too, but I think it's now starting they're now starting to understand the importance of it. So hopefully in time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I also recommend Pilates to some of my patients and clients because I think it strengthens you.
Okay.
It prevents you from death, and it also is a good form of rehab. There is Pilates for rehab. So you have an injury, and you can't really go and run. You can actually, if you go to a good Pilates instructor, you can actually help for rehabilitation as well. So
That's a great point. No, I do reformer Pilates, Legree. So that I love that. Very low impact. Don't feel like you're sweating too much. And it just it's good for someone that is now starting off and stuff like that. But I use it to maintain my muscles and my actual workout from before. So I started with hit high intensity to burn more fat and stuff like that faster. And then I maintain my figure and everything with Pilates. So that's a great transition I did.
obviously, like everybody's different, right? So you will need strength training as well in your routine. So Pilates is good for core, for using your body, but some people would need weights for the health of their joints. But if you're somebody who's finding it difficult to get out there and exercise, don't be too hard on yourself and think, oh, well, I need to be doing this and I need to be doing that. Choose one thing. So like I have my clients who I say, this week, I just want you to go to your yoga class on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you would not believe the difference that makes in your life. Just choose one thing and just do it. And if you have to choose something, I'd say Pilates, but everybody has something else that they might love. So
yes. No, make it simple, not overwhelming. Yeah. Choose one. I love that advice. Okay, so we know that life gets really crazy. What are some habits would you implement for every day to feel more healthy and to feel fitter?
So yeah, you're right. Life gets crazy no matter how fit you are, no matter how much you think about fitness. These are the things that I do to make sure that I don't always slip.
Okay.
One habit is having gym or workout clothes very accessible.
Yeah.
So it's not something you want to look for. Sometimes I even put it out on the bed. Sometimes I put it out on the counter. I just know that tomorrow I'm going to work out.
Yes.
The other thing is drinking lots of water. It sounds simple, but we forget. We have a long day. We don't get a lot of water in because we're just not thinking about it. But if you wake up with a glass of water on the side of your bed. So put it there before the night before. So if you drink just before you go to sleep, put 2 glasses. So when you wake up, you have no other choice but to drink that glass of water. Other habit is sunlight. Sunlight. I know we hear a lot about sunlight and the importance of it, but sunlight first thing in the morning has so many benefits. It has benefits in terms of making you sleep better because it encourages cortisol regulation from very early on. So once you go outside, your body, your cycle, your cortisol cycle starts immediately. So by the time you're ready to sleep, your adrenal glands are well balanced and you're able to fall asleep much easily. I mean, I'm making it sound simple, but that daily sunlight, especially first thing in the morning, it's one of my biggest tips. And it's simple, right? It's not something that you have to, oh my God, I've stressed myself out. And one other habit is 2 to 5 minutes of stretching or movement. What that does for you is not only does it create mobility, it moves your joints, it reduces the chance of back pain and joint stiffness. But what it also does is that it encourages you to think about exercise. So you get up in the morning, you do a little yoga, you stretch your back, you do, there are little routines that we could do.
Yes.
And then we feel better and we think, okay, I'm going to do that Pilates class later today. Or, I'm going to run. Let me message Jane to see if she's going to come walk with me. So that little 2-minute stretch in the morning, even if it's still in your bed, is really something that I think will change your life. And then in terms of food, one habit that I started implementing in the last couple of years that really has changed how I look at food is what I buy. Make sure that you don't have things in your cupboard that you don't want yourself to eat when you are having a low mood. You might have a couple things.
Out of sight, out of mind. Yes.
If you're looking for a treat, a sweet treat, you're going to have a little banana with a little bit of maple syrup or honey and an apple. And that is going to hit the craving. So just like the candy, just like it, because that's what you have. And the more you buy vegetables, fruits, the more you have it, is the more it's going to be in your face. You open the fridge and you're like, okay, I'm going to have it. So those would be my tips for creating better habits for yourself.
No, I love those tips. Those are really great tips. Simple, but effective. And once you just pick those that associate with your lifestyle, yeah, that'll be great. But I love the sunlight that you pointed out, having a daily dose of sunlight that is also tied to spirituality as well. So for us, spiritual girlies, yes, going out in the sunlight and really that can cleanse your aura. You could feel better, yes, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. Mind, body, and soul. And as you said, spirituality. So in the Caribbean, we learn a lot about spirituality through religion, right? But spirituality is in fact bigger than religion.
Tied to science as well, and everything. Yes.
Correct. So it is what you use, what your soul connects to, or if you don't believe in your soul, but what you connect to as a greater being, whether it's just nature, it's just energy, whatever that is, spirituality is important. So as you said, that sunlight is so important for spirituality. And in some religions, sunlight is actually the foundation of the religion, So yeah.
Okay, so how do you stay motivated with your habits and everything? I know that some people, their discipline, sometimes it takes harder for them to be disciplined with their routine and everything.
Yeah, discipline is hard. Discipline is not something that comes easily to a lot of people, but for me, I suppose I learned discipline very young in life. And for me, having many extracurricular activities is what taught me discipline, because I learned that I had to get my work done in order to go to dancing, go to swimming, go to and that would be at 5 p.m. So between 2 and 5 p.m., I have to finish my homework, right? Because by the time I get home at 8 p.m., I'm too tired. You have a shower and you go to bed. So I learned discipline from having many extracurricular activities, but there are different ways of people learning discipline. And I think for most children, it's important to have extracurricular activities, not just for fitness or wellness, but to learn the importance of discipline. If you have your whole evening to study and to do your homework, you are not going to understand the concept of discipline very well, because you're going to watch TV. You might go and sit down and do your homework at 8 o'clock. You may do it at 7, but you're not going to understand the importance of you have to do it. It's 2 hours and you have to do it. But apart from that, I mean, I think what people need to connect to is a greater sense of purpose.
Yes, their why. Yes, having a why.
Your why.
Um,
Having a why and having how. Why am I, who do I want to be?
Yes,
And
that vision for
that
yourself.
vision. And
Yes,
when I do sessions with clients, sometimes I'm like, okay, let's put up who you want to be. And they're like, well, you know, I don't really have an idea of who I want to be. Yes, you do.
yes,
You have an idea of who you want to be, but maybe you just think it's so far from who you are now that you don't want to envision it. But when you make a vision board and you see yourself as X or Y or Z or whatever it is in your head, you start to realize, wait a second, I could achieve this.
yeah,
And the only way to achieve it is discipline. And if it becomes who you are and what you are and why, and if it becomes your everything, discipline sort of falls into place.
yes,
And the truth is, some people are more disciplined than others, right? Some people are naturally more disciplined because if you have a more scientific brain, you sort of think more logically. Some
yeah.
people are more creative and they think
Well, yeah,
more outside of the box. And sometimes, you know, creative people wake up in the morning and they're like, well, I'm not feeling a vibe. So
yeah.
I can't do anything until 5 p.m. And that's all
We
fine.
understand.
That's all fine. But the discipline with creativity comes with just understanding yourself, giving yourself grace and understanding, okay, I don't have the inspiration right now, but in the meantime, I'm going to do the things that don't require inspiration. I'm not going to sit on the bed and sleep, like, you know? So I think it's all in mindset and it's all in knowing and understand who you want to be and where, and do not shortchange yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself to be that person, nobody will believe it for you. There's nobody in this world who's going to want that for you.
You have
And
to believe it in yourself first before others believe in it you. Yes.
and there are going to be people who are going to doubt you. That's what you're doing. That's what you want to do. Who she feels she is. There
Yes.
are everybody. And you know what? The more you get that, is the
Yes.
more you're on the right track.
Yes.
So put up that picture of yourself and be like, I want to be whatever it is.
Yes.
You just work towards that and you find the discipline starts to come. And if you need help with discipline, there are coaches out there who help.
As I
And
said, accountability is so important, especially for creative, emotional people. I understand totally. You need accountability partner. You need someone to be like, hey, Liana, what's up? What are our goals? What have you achieved this month? All these things. Someone that is holding your hand, per se, and someone that is guiding you through the process. Yes.
absolutely. And
And
somebody,
a coach, yes, as you said.
emotional people around us, somebody that you want to cry with.
Yes.
You want to cry one day and you just feel like this is not working out. I don't know what I'm doing. You just need that person, and that's okay. And crying is a sign of strength. Like a lot of people say, like, you know, cry it out, laugh it out, like do whatever you need to find that inspiration to move on to the next step, and give yourself grace. Because if you don't give yourself grace, nobody's going to do it for you.
Yes, and as you know, with creative people and emotional people, making it as easy for you, your routine, making things, your water needs to be by your bed, as you said, your clothes need to be right there, so that with people like that, logical people and creative people, kind of their brain is wired a little bit differently. So it takes a little bit more effort for creative people to do stuff, right? And they're very spontaneous too. So their why, you have to have very strong why, as you said too. So having your purpose, your why, and making things as easy and accessible for you, all of those things are going to help you achieve your goals. Yes, and having a team.
Absolutely. Could not have said it better.
Yes, and having a team
Yeah.
of, I call it, your little team of people, either your therapist, your mentor, your nutritionist coach, having a team of people that really care about you and want to see you grow and excel. Yeah, that is so important. And having a community, a strong community of women. As women, we do need that support.
Absolutely. As women, we need support. We need
Yeah.
support. There's no one out there who doesn't need support. And guess what? As women, we also know we need to support each other, even though it may not seem so. All of us have it in us to be loving and emotional. So just find the right person, the right team, the right professional, the right friend, the right mother who's going to be there to help guide you to make the right choices and be a little cheerleader at this side. And also remember to be other people's cheerleaders. I mean, sometimes we get so caught up with ourselves about what we want to do. But sometimes somebody wants to hear from you. Oh my God, you did so well. I'm so proud of you. What's the next step?
We all know that self-care is really important for us. So what are some ways that it's not just on your to-do list, but it's a priority, especially for us girl bosses, our corporate bodies, and our wonderful mothers? Yes.
Right. So this brings me to the word non-negotiables. Everybody needs to have non-negotiables. And if you don't know what they are, you need to think about them now. Your non-negotiables are things that you need for yourself to feel good when every month. And sometimes our finances may not allow it. Sometimes things may change, and that's okay. You
Yeah.
just sort of change it around. But there's certain things that you say to yourself that this is what I need. So I'll give you an example. My non-negotiables are Pilates twice a week. It's doing my lashes every 2 weeks. It's going for a massage and it's having healthy smoothies at least 3 times a week. Now that sounds simple. It may even sound silly to some people, like, oh, lashes are not important. But I like them.
Yes.
It makes me happy. And you don't need to justify what makes you happy to anybody. You need to do what fulfills your spirit and what makes you feel good. My other non-negotiables are also, I suppose, spirituality. So I do go to church. Sometimes my schedule doesn't allow it every week, but I try to go as many as possible. And saying a prayer every morning.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what your negotiables are, you need to go and write them down. Think about what you need in your life that's going to make you happy. And they could be deep, or they could be just as frivolous as you can think of.
Yes, absolutely. Like implementing those little things, either your gratitude journal or tapping into your spirituality, finding that ground. Self-care is so important. As a self-care queens, we prioritize yourself, and that when you prioritize yourself, your family is happier, your significant other is happier. So I say that putting yourself first in that aspect and prioritizing, your little lashes. I love that. So splurging a little bit here and there when it allows. Yes, it's so important as women. We are working so hard on ourselves. Sometimes we need to slow down and really smell the roses.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, we should make the point that there's a thin line between becoming very selfish and self-centered and self-care. And I think that's a lot of what people are concerned about now, where it's like, well, this whole Gen Z sort of act of, I need a mental health day. And there's a thin line between working hard and making sure that you achieve your goals and being respectful of others while taking care of yourself. And you could schedule in self-care into a life and into a plan that also makes you a productive and well-respected human. So while we do talk about self-care and non-negotiables, we also talk about presenting ourselves as wholesome individuals that can make it in society and that are well-respected. Because at the end of the day, yes, you might feel satisfied in this moment, but 10 years down the road, you want to be somebody that when your name is called, you're like, people actually want to work with you. They want to come to you. They want to be friends with you, or not even friends, but they want to be colleagues with you so that they learn and they grow more. So self-care is important, but it's important to also keep that balance with and not become selfish or self-centered.
Okay, as a Gen Z, we are very hardworking and we're very disciplined, but I understand what you're saying is that you need to be accountable individual in society as well.
I know a lot of hardworking Gen Zs. I have 2 staff who are Gen Zs, and I can tell you that there's nobody who works harder than my assistant. Nobody.
Yes.
But there is there are some in all generations. There are some in all generations who sort of have picked up the bad habits of their own generation. So millennials sort of overwork themselves, but then are not present in the moment and are not present to be parts of in families, and they're hard on themselves, and that does not make you a good contributor to society. So every generation has their little thing.
I need a mental health day. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. Fill in the capes and just do whatever we want to do. The five careers are not just a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or whatever, a nurse. It's you could be a content creator nurse. You could be a nurse with a model, you know? So I just love that. If we just have like 10 minutes to ourselves for the day, what is like a quick little self-care routine that you think that we should implement?
So that is an interesting question. 10 minutes for yourself.
Yeah.
I would say firstly to start with breathing.
Okay.
Um,
Breathing exercises.
breathing centers you. It brings all the tension that you're holding out, and it sets positive intentions into your spirit. 2 minutes of breathing is all you need to sort of settle yourself for the next step of the day. Walking. So you take a walk around, whether it's 2 minutes, whether it's 3 minutes, just walk around. And for the rest of it, and what the walking does is that it allows your heart to start. It allows you to start to feel your body again. You feel your hands, you feel your legs, and you start to feel in connection with yourself. And I mean mindful walking, right? And then for the next 5 minutes, you need to have something that is special to you, something that you love to do, something you rejuvenates your spirit, and you need to know what that is. Sometimes it takes people years to figure out what that is, and sometimes some people know from the time they come out of the room what they love to do.
Yeah.
Something with a color, whether it's something with you take out a coloring book and you color, or you dance.
Yes.
For me, it's dancing. I put on some music and I would do some movement, 5 minutes, and it sets me for. And this could be in the middle of the day. I get up in the office and I put on some music and I just start. Or you could just play some. But it's important to ground yourself first. So I'd say start with the breath, start with a little walking and movement, and then choose 5 minutes of something that's very, very special to you, and that you can sit with yourself and love yourself during that time, something that you love to do.
No, I love that advice. No, taking that time to really ground yourself and be in the moment, be present with yourself is so important for us to do it, especially busy, active people that don't take that time to really like sit down with themselves. It's so important to take that time out of your day. Okay, so Dr. Tonya, it was so great to have you on. Where can my audience find you?
So thank you so much, Liana, for having me. I think what you're doing is great, and I'm excited to see the product of your podcast. I think girls and women need this, and I wish you all the best. If anybody wants to contact me, the name of my company is the Wellness Collective. The website is mywellnesstt.com. Everything you need is on there. Just click. You could book your sessions. You could book if it's sports and exercise medicine or coaching. And you can also find our number there if you need to just have a chat with us. It's the Wellness Collective TT on Instagram. And again, www.mywellnesstt.com. So
Awesome. Any final words or anything you would like to share with the ladies?
Yes, my final words are don't be hard on yourself. You're amazing. I think we are not told that enough. And sometimes we just sit in a slump and we think and we look at everybody else, and Instagram shows us how amazing everybody else is. But you are amazing, and you need to find that strength and that power and that light in yourself. And if you can't, come on my website and we're going to help you find it.
Yes, beautiful words. Amazing.